All right, all right, all right. Well, hello and welcome to Steam Feed TV, episode number 10. We've reached double digit, folks. And as with that, we are hitting some tough technical issues. Google Hangouts is having some issues today, I know, and we are experiencing them with one of our panelists as we speak. So I just wanted to make sure everybody can get in. It's Steam Feed TV. Go to the Steam Feed page, the Google Plus page for Steam Feed, and you can get in. Before we go any further, I want to make sure that everybody knows the Content Marketing World is on its way, September 8th through the 11th at the Cleveland Convention Center. And if you go to the registration page, and when you go to register, if you type in the discount code STEAMFEED, capital S, capital F, that's STEAM, capital FEED, you will get $100 off your registration. So there's a good reason to be involved with Steam Feed once again. All right, well, we want to welcome Jennifer, Jeff, and Greg, and we are expecting Randy here shortly. We're having some technical difficulties with Randy, but hopefully he will be here shortly. So panelists, how are we doing today?
Fantastic.
Good.
All right. The first thing I wanted to talk about, it's everywhere. Everybody has talked about it. We're probably a little bit late, but that's okay. Southwest Airlines taking people off the plane, forcing them to delete tweets. That's a big issue. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about and get your ideas on are should a company, should a business have the power to force someone to delete a tweet because it was a negative tweet? So you guys jump in. Do you think Southwest did the right thing? Do you think we have enough information? Do you think it was a Southwest issue, or do you think this guy with his kids was pushing things? Let's talk about it.
I think there's a much larger issue than what's going on here, and we're not getting the full story. I've done a little research myself on this guy. You know, he's cool. He's a dad. He's a parent. He's a little bit of a tool when it comes to sort of how he interacts with people on social. So, you know, having that negative comment, I don't think is unreasonable for him. It's not out of his personality, but he used the person's actual name, which I think was a little bit uncool. I think the other thing is, yeah, Southwest did have an issue, but it was more of a local thing with that gate, that agent, that plane, and that group of people, like that flight, those flight attendants. And so it reached Southwest obviously toward later. So I don't think we should crucify Southwest as a whole, because they did try and make it right. I think it was more of a local thing between just a few individuals that, hey, they felt threatened, and so there's precedent for that already set up, where if somebody feels threatened, they sort of do what they want when it has to do with anything with an airline. I still think that we're missing some information. I think it's been blown a little bit out of proportion. And I think there is a dangerous precedent set here that this could now be used as a case study by other organizations to say, well, okay, Southwest Airlines forced somebody to delete a tweet, even though that's not necessarily what happened, but the perception is that Southwest forced this to happen. So now if another business doesn't like somebody or doesn't like what somebody says, they can use that as a case study now to say, hey, look, we're not going to provide you good customer service, or we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that until you remove that particular tweet. And so
that's
I think
the issue. That's the issue. They're being forced to remove the tweet.
Yeah.
But that's the issue. What do you think, Jen?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that's already happening or has happened. I think what's interesting is that, we're in a capitalistic society, and that we still believe that corporations should, by their very nature, treat us well. And that is not actually part of the deal. They're there to make money. And that was offensive to them, and they have the power to refuse service to somebody who does that, just like Home Depot would have the power to throw you out of your store if you said something horrible about a person in the store. I mean, they have the right to do that. Is it horrible and classless? Totally. But companies do that. People do that with Yelp reviews. Restaurants know people that are leaving horrible Yelp reviews, and the next time that person comes in to eat in their restaurant, they're maybe not giving them best service, or they're not totally friendly to them. And that's the double-edged sword of giving your feedback. On some hand, you can leverage that to get a lot of things to happen in your favor, and then it can also backlash for you. Like Jeff is saying, maybe you call out that person's name was pushing it too far, and that's why he got a backlash. But that's the risk you take when you take to these forums to call these companies out, and they are not obligated to treat you with respect. That's not part of the deal. That's not how you make money.
That's an excellent point, Jennifer Kane. I mean, I think that's something that sometimes online we kind of feel like, well, they owe me this or they owe me that, and you have it exactly right. I think that's a really good point. In that, the bottom line is it's a business.
Yeah,
Brett,
but don't you think that one goes hand in hand though? Like if
oh wait, let's get Greg's in, and then we'll discuss it a little bit, okay?
So I think the salacious headline is always going to be corporation bullies customer or something, or mistreats customer. That's always like the corporate headline. But I agree with Jennifer. Like they have the right to not serve you if they don't want to. I mean, as a business owner myself, and listen, I'm not Southwest Airlines, and I have more of a face than, let's say, Southwest Airlines does. But if I see somebody that says, "Hey, I hate Greg DiNeo's company," and then 5 minutes later they call me and say, "Hey, Greg, could you help me out with this?" I'm probably not going to. And so whether we think like, hey, they should service their customers regardless, that's not always the case. Now, removing the tweet, I think if they didn't use the person's name and they still asked the guy to remove the tweet, then I would have said, that's way out of line or whatever. However, since they used the person's name, and if that was my wife or my daughter or something like that, I would have been a little upset as well that somebody was calling her out in a very public setting where people are actively following Southwest Airlines,
okay,
their delays and things like that. So.
But here's what I'm going to throw in, since Randy's not here and Brooke's not here, and I don't know why Randy is still having problems getting in. But here's the thing. I don't believe that Southwest Airlines has the right to make someone delete a tweet, whether they use the name or not. I think what would have been smarter for Southwest Airlines was to have them respond to the tweet. When you make somebody delete something like that, whether they use their name or not, that's freedom. That's freedom. That's what the internet's all about. That's what Twitter's all about. It may not be. I don't know that there's any etiquette that says yes or no that you can do that. And Jeff, you may have a really good point in that it may be crossing the line a little bit. However, making them delete it was, in my mind, a wrong move, and I think they should have addressed the issue. I've always been a strong believer in, if there's an issue like that, you address it. You don't hide it. You don't delete it. You don't do those things.
Well, the other thing you're running into here, Jerry, is you're making the assumption that Southwest Airlines forced him to delete the tweet. That's not actually what happened. What actually happened was they were not going to allow him on that particular flight until he deleted the tweet.
That's a force. Come on.
So he had the choice. He had the choice whether to wait for a later flight, because they didn't say that he couldn't fly Southwest Airlines on a later flight. They just said, okay, look, you cannot board this particular plane because of this tweet, and he made the choice, the conscious choice, to just get home early.
That's a force. That's like saying, if you were in a grocery store and the checker was really rude, and you put something out there that said, this checker, Jennifer, was really rude to me while we were checking out, and all of a sudden as you were leaving they took your cart and said, you can't have your groceries until you delete that. I just don't see that as being. I think businesses are stepping too far, and that's just
I think a classier move would have been for Southwest to play third party and say, we're going to address this with this employee, and we will check into this or such and such and whatever. That would have been better than saying, we're automatically taking your side and you're the bad person in this situation. But the fact remains, when it comes to internet and airlines, we have to do what they say. We take off our shoes if they say take off our shoes, and we get the water bottles dumped out if we say dump out the water bottles, and they call those shots. And we have to do what they say, or else we don't get on the plane.
Well, see, that's why women should rule the world, because you guys have.
Yeah.
You guys think rationally. We think emotionally. But yeah, that's a really good point, and I think the whole thing. Are any of you amazed at how quickly it was brushed under the rug? It was like it was there, it blew up, and then boom, it just disappeared and went gone.
Not at all.
No, I think there have been a lot of stories lately that.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, that was right around the airlines and also the Malaysia airline, and then also
Right.
Gaza, the conflict in Gaza. So I think those two took much more precedent during the last month versus this.
Good point. All right, let's switch topics and let's talk about Yahoo, our old friend Yahoo. Does anybody, before we even talk about Yahoo, does anybody on the panel even know what Yahoo really does?
Who?
Expand. What do they do?
What's Yahoo?
Yeah, there you go. I mean, and so what's happened with Yahoo is it just came out the other day that Yahoo's search has dipped below 10%. Are they even relevant in the whole thing anymore?
No.
In search, no.
No.
So what do they do? I mean, what is? I mean, beyond being known for Yahoo,
they have a great fantasy. They have a great fantasy football league program.
And they have a very good bracket for March Madness.
For March Madness, yeah. I mean, I would say their sports section actually is fairly. I wouldn't say they're ESPN level, but I would say they're
very good.
They're CBS sports level.
Are they dead as a search engine? As a search site? Jennifer?
Yeah, I mean, that's the email account I use for my spam, but I know that there are people who genuinely use it for their email. I will say that I love their weather app. It's the best weather app I've ever found. And every time I open it, I think, wow, it's Yahoo. And that's their brand for me now. It's like, wow, you surprised me with being not sucking at something.
Right. So well, I don't know if you know this, but Yahoo's weather app is the default weather app that comes on the iPhone. It's the
really.
When you pull it down and you go to the weather for that day, it's the Yahoo weather app on the iPhone.
It's good.
But they're like Lycos or Ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think? Okay, so let me ask this: do you think that Bing isn't far behind? As far as being dead?
Who's that?
Again.
Who's Bing?
So who is the search? Who is the search king?
Google.
Me.
Google.
So there's no getting around it, whether we like it or not. Google's there.
I think the ship has sailed on that. What I will mention that I don't think about them, and I wouldn't have really made note of this news. But what I thought was interesting was the link you shared, because I did not appreciate how that person went for the throat for Marissa Mayer.
Yeah.
And that's been bothering me, because whether or not she made some bad choices, she's been hoofing it for a while since she started that job and been trying lots of things. And plenty of CEOs of tech companies try lots of things and fail, and we give them a pass. Mark Zuckerberg has failed on many, many things, and we've given him a pass. And she does not seem to be getting a pass, which I think is a problem about women in tech in general. So that's me and my soapbox for 30 seconds about that.
And in the same tone, Twitter has just announced that their second quarter usership is way up, but at the same point, you didn't read too much about Dick Costolo, being at the end of his rope, where they were getting bad. And what is interesting about Twitter is still not profitable. They lose like 400 and something million. It's ridiculous. But I think you bring up a good point. I don't know if it's because of it has nothing to do with a woman running the company. It's none of us even know what really Yahoo really does, do we?
Well, they used to have a corner market on things, and my first email address was a Yahoo address, which I've since deleted like this past year. I had it for almost 20 years. I used to use it for IM and chat. I've found a couple of girlfriends on Yahoo, but the thing is that, yeah, you're right. We have no idea what Yahoo is anymore, and the problem is the same with many companies that have been around that long, is that they have let other companies innovate past them. So all of a sudden, Yahoo is playing catch up, and they have no real identity any longer. So you have a company that used to be on the cutting edge of innovation when it came to search and other tools to build community. Remember High Five, which was a Yahoo product?
So, but I gotta ask, do you think it's Yahoo the product, or do you think it's that Marissa is running it?
I don't think it has anything to do with Marissa. I think it has everything to do with past leadership and their lack of vision.
So it has no idea.
There's no saving it at this point. I think it's like the people they're bringing in to save J.C. Penney's and brands like that. Like those people have been out of the game for so long. I don't know how they come back and beat some of the established players at this point.
And their pockets just aren't deep enough, as far as what I see. You're up against a Google. It's like, you're gonna chip away, and they're gonna be pushing you away at their ankles.
I actually today I looked at their stock price, and their stock price is at like 38-ish. When 3 years ago I think it was at 20. Now, not that stock price is everything, but it's still a very relevant metric in the success of a business. So. I mean, they have a couple things going on for them, in terms of they're going to get their Alibaba cash when that goes public. So they did just buy Tumblr. What's that?
We can all agree it's not who's running it; it's the product.
Yes, it doesn't have an identity, and it's not even the fact that they're not whether or not they're making money. It's very much they have an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Like Amazon doesn't make money, doesn't make profit, but they're considered, they were considered a successful or darling company up until a couple months ago. So.
Same thing with Twitter. Twitter doesn't make money.
Yeah, exactly. Twitter is a darling company now. I mean, up until a couple months ago.
So let's talk about something we all need to be doing is exercising. And what I want to know is, are you familiar with the app Pact?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody understands how it works. If you don't, you commit to working out a certain amount of times a month. If you don't work out, you pay a fine. And if you do follow through, then you are paid money by the app through the fines that everybody pays. Do you think it's going to be relevant?
I think it's an interesting way of setting things up. I mean, I think that when
it's going to work.
I do, because when you're talking about weight loss, I mean, you need incentive. That's a base human kind of motivation sort of thing. I mean, this is how our library system was funded, with fines if you didn't bring the books back on time. And if you never brought them back, you had to pay for the book. I mean, this is what makes these sorts of systems and processes work, and this is why people set deadlines for themselves, or they have alarm clocks that bark at them and roll across the floor. I mean, people need to set things up to make sure that they don't cheat. And if that works, then I think that's great. And I think it will work for some people.
Yeah.
Not me, but that's great.
I don't know. I mean, short of having somebody in the app yelling in your ear as you're going, I think there needs to be a secondary motivation other than just money, because you could get to a point where either money runs out, or you acquire enough money before reaching your goals that then all of a sudden then you sort of just slide back into your normal routines. I don't know. I think
I don't know if it's enough of a motivator.
I don't know. I don't know if it's big enough, other than
unless you're paying me $100 a month or whatever. If it's like $22 or $18, that's not motivating me.
Well, if you look at it like a heart attack isn't enough of a motivator for some people.
Okay.
Cancer is not enough of a motivator for some people.
It's going to be like the virtual gym membership. You're going to have like the people who really know that they want to start working out or want to get motivated to work out. They're going to buy it, and then they're going to get paid. For like the first, let's say, 3 weeks, they're going to accrue money. And then the 4th week, they're probably going to break even. And then by the 5th week, they're going to be paying the app. And then by week 7 or week 8, they're going to be paying the app even more. And then they're going to be like, okay, how the hell do I cancel?
Right.
Yeah, and then they're going to throw their phone up against the wall because they're sick of losing money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
so we're all in agreement.
Like
it's probably not going to do anything as far as actually working.
Right. If you're incentivized to work, the people that I know who work out or
I love the way you said that, Greg. Not myself, but
no, I do. I actually do work out, and I don't. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't need money as an incentive to work out. I have other incentives and other things that I'm looking forward to for my workout, but yeah, I don't. Money isn't going to be like the money isn't going to change the game for me.
It's almost like
yeah.
It's almost like, I know friends who, I'll bet you $100 you can't quit smoking. Eventually, that $100 isn't going to mean as much when you really want a cigarette.
Exactly.
It has to come from much deeper inside.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Okay. So we all agree that that's probably not. It'll be interesting to watch and see what it does, because there are some. When I did some research, I was very surprised by how many people just lived. They were just totally into it, which I thought was very interesting. So and it's new, so let's see what happens with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so and believe me, it's going to take more than money. I mean, my motivation has to come from something much further deep inside than that.
Right.
So, all right, let's now talk about the elephant in the room that we don't. Now, one thing I do want to caution is we don't want this to turn into a complaint session here. But we would be remiss, panel, I think, if we did not talk about what came out today with Facebook and their messenger system. So I am going to. We have some very, very emotional, very, very deep feelings about this. So I'm going to let Jeff start this off. What we're going to be talking about, folks, is Messenger is it's a new thing. It's a new additional app to Facebook, and Facebook is kind of forcing it. So Jeff, I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay. So here's the thing with the Messenger app, and I'm just going to say, don't expect me to download this onto my phone or my mobile device. And if anybody needs to get a hold of me and they don't want to use they expected to use the Facebook Messenger device, you'll have my phone numbers. Text me or email me, because I am not putting this thing on my phone. I read an article.
Why not?
Because I'm getting to that here. I read an article on Huffington Post that goes through some of the pretty crazy stuff that are in the terms and conditions, because we know that we all read those before we install an app, don't we? At least we're supposed to. All right, so here's some of the things that it does. It allows the app to send SMS messages without your permission, so you could incur charges. It allows the app to record audio with a microphone without your permission. It allows you to take pictures and use video from your mobile device without your permission. It also gives the app access to your contacts, information about your contacts, personal information that's stored on your mobile device, and that all of a sudden becomes Facebook's data. So,
that's incredible.
Yeah. I'm not doing that.
That's like the NSA, right?
Yeah, and so here's the thing, now Mark Zuckerberg has all of a sudden become Chuck Berry, and so Zuckerberg down the road is going to say that he was an NSA agent, much like Chuck Berry said that he was a CIA agent, and we'll get a movie in 15 years written by Charlie Kaufman. The thing that scares me the most is that Facebook already has a huge amount of data about us, and we've given it to them, and we've talked about this in the past. So that's not surprising. But I believe that this app allows Facebook and other beneficiaries of Facebook to receive significantly more data about us, but not just us, but about the personal information that is on our phone and about our contacts. That's pretty scary.
Okay, quickly. Who on the panel can name the 3 panelists from The Gong Show? Name one.
I don't know if I was alive.
You weren't alive, Greg. Jeff, I expected you to know this.
I blew everything out. I blew everything I had on Charlie Kaufman.
Greg, I know you have some. Go ahead, Jen.
Was Ruth Buzzy on it?
Ruth Buzzy was one. There was another lady too, but I don't want to.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, I mean, so you did good. You did good. Greg, I'm curious to hear, because I know in the pre-discussion there was some concern that your head, and I was hoping it would happen, that your head might blow up on screen because I think that would be a ratings bonanza. So give us your opinion.
Oh, much like Jeff, I absolutely, positively hated this, and the reason is because you have 300, 400, 500 Facebook friends or whatever, and of those 500 Facebook friends, you don't really care about 470 of them. I mean, let's just face it. And so now those 470 people have access to you all the time. Not only when you're at your desktop, but now they have access to you when you're on your phone. And that just annoys the hell out of me. I mean, the people that I really care about, and Jeff kind of hinted to this, or the people that I really want to talk to have my phone number and they can text me. And I can assure you that is not 480 people or 500 people. It's I do have quite a long Rolodex, but those people who I actually care about and want to hear from at all times, they have my phone number and they could call me or text me. I mean, I don't even pick up my house phone, and now because the people who have my house phone and don't have my cell phone, I know that we're not friends or I don't really know them. So the fact that now I have my Facebook friends on my phone just bothers the hell out of me.
I'm more surprised that you have a house phone.
I do, and to tell you the amount of times that I use it, I actually have it for my alarm system, and that's it. The amount of times that I actually pick it up because somebody is calling that I know is maybe once a week, twice a week. Yeah, it's not very often.
I'm getting weird messages, like people that I don't really, I don't remember, don't know, going, hi. Who are you?
Exactly. So now, like, everybody who has a cause that they that they email or message to their entire list, join my Facebook page or come to my event, or you haven't seen in 20 years. Like you get all that now.
Jennifer, you brought up a good point in that we have no control over it. So is it worth discussing? Can you expand a little bit?
Well, so Jeff will back me up on this, but the state of Minnesota has one of the best state fairs in the country. It's huge.
It's the best.
The best. And when you go to the state fair, there are booths everywhere. And what you see towards the end of the day are people who are hauling out bags of free junk. They're just, every booth there's stuff. They're gathering all sorts of stuff and yardsticks and whatever. And they all go home and they throw all that junk away. But the point was they got it for free. And the problem is that this seems to be also the culture we've built with apps. If apps are free and some platform says we need to download the app, people go, well, okay, it's free. And that somehow, because it's free, you put it in the bag and you take it home, even though you don't need a yardstick, even though you don't need a flyer for that person who's running for county whatever commissioner. You don't need any of it, but you put it in the bag and you take it home. And so what concerns me is I feel like the ship has sailed on this particular topic. We know this. The vast majority of people don't care to, won't research it. They're going to download the app, and then Facebook is going to have access to this data. So I find it abhorrent, and I find it distressing. But I also believe the ship has sailed. And it really, at this point, it becomes about damage control. Personally, I'm more upset about Swarm and Foursquare. I'm one of those small group of people that are upset about that.
But I'm upset too.
Facebook, I'm just not even going to play the game. But I know that I am, like my other two panelists here, I am kind of an outlier on that. Most people are going to do what they're told because it's free.
Yeah.
Good point. Well, another successful show, folks. And I want to thank you all for getting here. And Randy, we missed you. And Brooke, we missed you. Apparently, Google Plus Hangouts on Air was having lots of issues today. I know our fellow author Viveka Von Rosen was having issues with her account and trying to do a Hangout on Air as well today. So I guess I will see you all in 2 weeks. And thanks again for being a part of the show. And talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Take care.